The dismantling of democracy will not be seen this evening, so that we may bring you the following special presentation.
What do you want from me? I want to help you.
Oh, James singing, oh, James. The people in the street, oh, the pouring of the rain. Is it a feeling?
Has it really been 8 years? Yes, it was in March of 2017 that your podcast host first stepped into the Forgotten TV studio in a fit of midlife nostalgia to scratch the itch to learn more about the TV shows he remembered, but that perhaps most people had forgotten about. But Forgotten TV really started long ago in a remote corner of the world, when your host sat down to list all the powers of the greatest American hero, as well as episode titles. This led to the urge to compile episode lists for the sporadically rerun Wonder Woman, then Battlestar Galactica. You know, as one does to make sure you've seen all of them. When he discovered the magic of reference books, the companion of Television 1970 to 1980 by Vincent Terrace during a 3-month road trip reminded him of the shows he might have forgotten. In the early 90s, internet message boards on Usenet proved to be a source of quite a bit of information about TV of prior decades. Fast forward to 2007 and the recent rollout of high-speed internet, combined with the discovery of that amazing new resource called YouTube that was enabling regular people to upload and share the opening segments of old recorded TV shows.
Is this real life?
It was then that Forgotten TV was properly born, as a blog to embed a YouTube TV show intro from the 70s or 80s and write a paragraph about it. A decade later, it was revived as a podcast, considering gems like The Popcorn Kid, 70s Superheroes, Cliffhangers, Supertrain, Otherworld, and more. Now, Forgotten TV has become something of an authority, and the comprehensive considerations of shows like Whiz Kids, Automan, Tales of the Gold Monkey, James at 15, The Phoenix, Angie, Street Hawk, and others have been called definitive documentaries, sometimes even by the original writers and producers of said programs. Now, Forgotten TV relaunches with a new website with a sleek, modern look featuring new articles containing newly found information on Cliffhangers, Valerie, Aaron's Way, Detective in the House, The Phoenix, and more. Enjoy those TV show intros, rarely seen clips, and even full episodes and TV specials. And of course, the complete catalog of Forgotten TV podcasts. Your home for all things Forgotten TV is appropriately at forgotten.tv. Now, let's check in on a show we've not yet considered, but that you may have enjoyed watching as much as I did when it was first on 45 years ago.
Like magic, he appears, a hero to save the day. And just when you think he's here for good, that's when he goes away. 'Cause he's Bluray, he's never gonna settle down, never gonna settle. He's Bluray, wandering from town to town. He's a man's best friend, and when he comes into your life, you'll never be the same. Okay.
45 years ago, Boomer entered our TV screens and our hearts early Friday evening on NBC-TV. It was a simple premise: the episodic adventures of a lovable stray dog named Boomer, who roamed the United States, lending a paw to those in need. Produced by Paramount Television in association with A.C. Lyles Productions and Daniel Wilson Productions, Here's Boomer was almost an anthology, presenting standalone stories and characters only connected by the fact that Boomer had briefly entered their lives. Here's Boomer debuted March 14, 1980, but its genesis can be traced back to the 1979 one-hour TV special, A Christmas for Boomer, that had aired 3 months earlier, which served as the pilot episode for the series.
Christmas for Boomer, a new kind of shaggy dog story about real puppy love and dangerous dog nappers.
Put $20,000 into a plastic garbage bag.
A Christmas for Boomer, Thursday.
This initial offering introduced audiences to Boomer, who helped save a cute little pampered pup named Celeste, who had been dognapped by Larry Linville. The positive reception of this telefilm paved the way for the subsequent 2-season run of the show. However, even before that Christmas special, Boomer had appeared on Saturday mornings, The Red Hand Gang, in 1977, assisting 5 crime-solving preteens, one of which was Matthew Laberto in his first series starring role. Here, Boomer sported more of a Westie kennel cut and not the shaggy sheepdog style he would later be known for. The Red Hand Gang presented 3 serialized stories told over 12 episodes, aired over the fall of 1977. Like Thunder and Search and Rescue, it was a half-hour live-action drama airing on NBC Saturday mornings during the 1977-78 TV season. In all these series, the action was earnestly played, straight and serious, but the stories were clearly intended for children. The episodes actually make me think of the original intended tone and format of Whiz Kids, as a show featuring junior high detectives, before all the computer trappings were added. However, NBC abandoned this programming genre. Michael Brockman, head of daytime and children's programming for NBC, told reporter Lee Margulies at the conclusion of the TV season, "You know how many kids watch those shows? Not many. We often project what kids want to watch or try to shape what we would like them to watch, but they don't necessarily watch. The point is, you've got to get them into the theater to see what's on the stage. Our basic responsibility is to deliver an audience." Modern sources will tell you Here's Boomer was a spin-off of the Red Hand Gang, as a dog named Boomer starred in both. Now, having watched Red Hand Gang and episodes of Boomer, I find no evidence that Boomer was ever intended to be presented as the same dog in both series. As you can see on recordings and production photos, Boomer is groomed completely differently in each show, and there is no continuity of storyline between the series. The idea of Here's Boomer being a Red Hand Gang spinoff seems to have originated in the early 2010s online, which then made it into Wikipedia and now has been cited as fact over the last 15 or so years. The sentimental theme music for Here's Boomer, appropriately titled Boomer's Theme Song, Composed by David Michael Frank with words and music by Zoe Wilson and Edward Leonetti, helped set the stage for the half-hour lighthearted adventure. The second season gave us a second version. Check it out.
Like magic, he appears, a hero to save the day. And just when you think he's here for good, that's when he goes away. 'Cause he's Boomer, he's never gonna settle down.
Episodes featured plenty of 70s, 80s guest stars, such as Scott Baio, Todd Bridges, Michael J. Fox, Lucy Dreyer, Dean Butler, Jonathan Frakes, Jerry Hauser, Tracy Gold, Roddy McDowell, Doris Roberts, Margaret Hamilton, Meadowlark Lemon, and more. The guest actors played a diverse range of people facing various challenges when Boomer entered their lives. Whether it was assisting private investigators, befriending a deaf girl, cheering up down-on-their-luck entertainers, or playing matchmaker to two elderly people losing their home to a real estate development, Boomer's adventures showcased his ability to connect with and help those he encountered. Boomer proved to be popular, and NBC leaned into this at the network affiliate meeting where executive Brandon Tartikoff was interrupted by Boomer coming on stage with a demand letter which read, "Dear Mr. Tartikoff, now that you've settled with Johnny Carson, it's time you took care of your second biggest star. With my pickup for next season, I want the following guarantees written into my contract. Total script approval on all episodes. My own Winnebago, equipped with a dressing room with windows. A movie of the week from my own production company. We want to do a remake of In the Heat of the Night. A stunt double for all dangerous tricks and for local market promotional tours. A green rubber mouse with the squeaky thing removed. Listen, Tartikoff, I'm not the first dog you put into that time period, but at least I didn't roll over and play dead 3 weeks in. I'm going to sit here now until you agree to all my bones of contention. Boomer."
Wanted a shaggy little vagabond named Boomer.
Described as light brown, long-haired, floppy-eared, wearing a collar with his name on it.
What do we pick him up for?
The perfect crime. He's so lovable he's been stealing millions of hearts all across the country.
I don't think he's the marrying kind.
Befriending housewives.
On my way?
Caring for little kids. And helping people in need. He was last seen Friday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain. Warning, he may be disguised. Use caution or he may steal your heart too. Here's Boomer.
One unique episode aired in December of 1980, where Boomer's thoughts could be heard by the audience, with voiceover either by episode writer Terry Hart or voice actor Tom Moore, depending on which internet source you read. The episode also starred Patty Davis, who turns up in the role of a librarian. Davis was daughter of then-President-elect Ronald Reagan, who you'll recall was no stranger to show business himself in years past. Advertised as the season premiere, the Hear Boomer's Thoughts concept was seemingly the new direction the series was going to take. However, the series was immediately and inexplicably placed on hiatus following this episode, disappearing for 10 months. When Boomer finally returned with new episodes in October 1981, the concept had been abandoned. Of course, the star was Boomer himself, portrayed by a remarkably talented 4-year-old mongrel named Johnny, a rescue dog found at the Burbank Pound. Under the expert supervision of animal trainer Ray Berwick, Johnny brought Boomer to life, showcasing a range of skills and a captivating on-screen presence. I was looking through a group of cages, and there he was. At first, he was suspicious of me, but eventually he came up to say hello. Never once did he beg me to save him, even though he probably knew what his next stop was. He had lots of dignity and class. Much of Johnny's training was handed over to Berwick's nephew, Brian Renfro. After a few years of training, Johnny could walk, lie down, roll over, climb a ladder, go right and left, act sick, put his feet up, put his eyes down, lower his head, scratch himself, or even sneeze on cue. This landed him on shows like Beretta, Starsky and Hutch, and Chips. Berwick also trained Beretta's white cockatoo, Fred. Johnny also became the backup for Jeff, who played Jack on Little House on the Prairie. Ray Berwick says he then conceived of a series featuring Johnny, after presidential candidate Reagan had expressed a desire for more family-friendly TV shows. A footnote here, though. This narrative is given by Berwick's apprentice Carl Mitchell for the 2002 book, The Encyclopedia of TV Pets. Now, Reagan wasn't elected until the November 1980 election, and the Boomer pilot TV movie was produced a full year earlier. Giving Berwick the benefit of the doubt, I mentioned candidate Reagan, but it's possible this is just one of those tidbits that has evolved as a narrative over the years, or is the result of faulty recollections. The initial working title of Here's Johnny was nixed due to the obvious conflict with Ed McMahon's iconic introduction of NBC's late-night star. After being promoted from a stand-in on Little House to his own series, Johnny himself had a stand-in or stunt dog in the form of Boomer J, who handled some of the more difficult action scenes. However, the premise of Here's Boomer, which centered on a helpful stray dog, was hardly original. Even the most casual viewer could draw comparisons to the popular Benji films and TV specials from Joe Camp that had come before.
Liz Smith of Cosmopolitan says it's the most entertaining family picture of our time, maybe of all time. It's a love story. It's exciting. Someone's gonna get hurt. It's suspense. Go get the other dog! You'll struggle with him. You'll cheer for him. But most of all, you can't help but love him. Benji, a motion picture that just plain makes you feel good. Rated G.
1974's Benji was the original story told from a dog's point of view. Shot in McKinney and Denton, Texas over the summer of 1973, Joe Camp had fought an uphill battle to bring the tale of the little mixed-breed dog to the screen, with all the major studios passing on the film, thinking the concept could only be done with animation. So he assembled his own independent financing via an array of investors to back the film, $25,000 at a time. Ironically, Joe Camp had encountered Ray Berwick and Johnny during his search for the dog that would become Benji. But Johnny was far too young and inexperienced at the time to fill the role. Additional footnote, I am aware the timelines don't add up here, but I am presenting the dates and narratives told by Ray Berwick and Joe Camp. Camp states he was auditioning dogs in early 1973, while Berwick gives the date of Johnny's birth as likely spring 1976. Since we have a firm timeline for the filming of Benji, if we are to trust Camp's account, Berwick must have gotten his years wrong. This would have made Johnny more like 7 years old when Here's Boomer began production. However, Berwick put Camp in touch with Frank N. and his dog, Higgins, an experienced TV pet that had spent 7 years on Petticoat Junction.
Petticoat Junction.
It was Higgins that became Joe Camp's Benji. Even after having a completed film, Camp again faced issues getting a studio to distribute it. Again, all the majors said no. It turned out Camp would also have to distribute the film without the aid of a studio. Benji was released in May 1974, debuting at the North Park Cinema in Dallas, a venue specifically chosen by Camp. He then booked the film himself in one theatrical market after another across the country, carefully tweaking the TV ad campaign along the way. When it finally played in Los Angeles, it resulted in the song I Feel Love that played over the credits receiving an Academy Award nomination. However, it won the Golden Globe for Best Original Song. The award talk raised the profile of the film, which played more widely the following year. On a budget of $350,000 and an additional $5 million in advertising and promotion, Benji returned $31.5 million domestically, even giving that original blockbuster Jaws a run for its money over the summer of 1975. Following a second theatrical appearance in 1977's For the Love of Benji, in the summer of 1980, Benji starred in Oh Heavenly Dog, which presented Chevy Chase as a washed-up detective who is murdered and sent back to Earth in the form of a dog to solve his own murder. The gimmick here was that the audience could hear the voice of Chase as Benji's thoughts. The film didn't do well, and for a time put an end to the Benji films. This seems to be where Boomer producers got the idea to implement the same concept when the show came back in December 1980. Although I couldn't find specific information on this, it is possible there was something of a dispute between the two production companies over the concept, as Boomer immediately disappeared for that 10-month hiatus, with the Hear Boomer's Thoughts aspect completely abandoned, which is probably for the best, because NBC had previously tried a talking dog series.
You didn't know dogs could talk? I've been doing it for centuries.
A talking dog, big and gruff, on McDuff said you blew it. You need my help as a vet, and I'll bet I can do it.
I'm a ghost. I'm the funny, furry guardian of your family. Please don't boast. You're the only one who can ever see me.
Half dog, half ghost.
I am
the most. He's my friend. He speaks the words of the birds and the beast, and he translates. He helps me do a better job.
I'm McDuff, and I'm a talking dog.
Yes, 5 years earlier, NBC had aired McDuff, the Talking Dog, on Saturday mornings. McDuff was a large, shaggy sheepdog that was evidently also a ghost that appeared and spoke only to veterinarian Calvin Campbell, played by Walter Willison. Also starring was Gordon Jump, who would later be Mr. Carlson on WKRP in Cincinnati. This aired as part of a 3-hour block of live-action shows, along with Monster Squad, Land of the Lost, Big John, Little John, The Kids from Caper, and Muggsy. A couple of those you've heard about on earlier Forgotten TV podcasts on Saturday morning TV. McDuff was the first casualty on this schedule. The best information that we have is 13 episodes were filmed, but it was pulled from the schedule after only 11. Supposedly, the filmed episodes were destroyed in a fire, but at least one 16mm copy survived and was sold on eBay in 2020 to Albert Wise. His digital capture was incredibly taken down by YouTube, but not before it was grabbed by others. The guys at Bad Saturday Morning on YouTube watched this existing episode, and I'll link to it in the show notes. The connection between Here's Boomer and the Benji films extended beyond just the storylines, as both Johnny and Higgins were mixed-breed dogs rescued from California shelters by animal trainers. Some critics even referred to Here's Boomer as TV's answer to Benji. However, thematic similarities were also shared with yet another series.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, that's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. moving on. So if you want to join me for a while, just grab your hat, we'll travel like that's old style. Maybe tomorrow I'll want to settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on.
It was Canadian series The Littlest Hobo, which had originally run in the mid-1960s, but was revived in 1979 in a second series, then airing concurrently on Canada's CTV and in U.S. syndication. Both shows revolved around a vagabond dog who selflessly assisted people in need before moving on at the end of each episode. It also looks like licensees tried to dip their toes into Here's Boomer merchandise, but the uncertain status of the series for nearly a year likely quelled further products from being developed. What was released included a plastic lunchbox and insulated tumbler by Thermos, a Knickerbocker plush doll, and one or two pin-up posters.
Coming up next, follow along with a freedom-loving pooch who never stays with one person for long, but brightens the lives of everyone he meets in Here's Boomer.
In 1986, reruns of Here's Boomer started being shown exclusively on the Disney Channel, where it ran through 1990, the same year trainer Ray Berwick died. I've never been able to find information on the fate of Johnny the dog. Although the series is not streaming, those that wish to revisit or introduce their own kids or grandkids to the 24 heartwarming episodes of Here's Boomer can do so on DVD. Coming in 2025 to Forgotten TV.
This is Earth. Earth 2. The last hurrah of a dying planet, or the Noah's Ark of an intergalactic age.
You're in a house, maybe your own, maybe one you've never seen before. You feel it. Something evil. You run, but there's no escape, nowhere to turn. You feel something beckoning you, draw you into the terror that awaits you in the dark room.
Podcasts on The Magician, Earth 2, Misfits of Science, Dark Room. It's your move, and we'll even likely be revisiting a forgotten TV favorite with new interviews. Stay tuned to Forgotten TV in 2025. I appreciate everyone that has offered financial support over the years through Patreon, PayPal, or Buy Me a Coffee, such as longtime supporters Will Welton, Mark Hadley, and Ron. Forgotten TV is currently brought to you by executive producers Joshua Driscoll, Doc Pinko, K.L. Young, Kenny Siegel, and Tony Cook, with producers Julio Capa, Eric Fusco, Ralph Carasillo, Trevor Pearson, John Malcolm, Tim Yabo, Lee Goldberg, and James Bellinger. Thank you also to the special one-time contributions of Helen Burke-Weber and associate producer David Almeida. And of course, thanks to all who support monthly at the $1 to $3 levels. Remember, if you join via Patreon, you can enjoy additional articles, essays, episode guides, and podcasts not published here in the main podcast feed, website, or regular social media channels. Forgotten TV is not affiliated with or authorized by A.C. Lyles Productions, Daniel Wilson Productions, Paramount Television, Mulberry Square Productions, or any production company or network involved in the making of any TV show or film mentioned in this podcast. Links to Amazon are affiliate, and as an Amazon associate, Forgotten TV earns royalties from qualifying purchases made. All characters, films, and series mentioned are the property of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. Audio clips included are for the purposes of historical context, review, commentary, and criticism only, and are not intended to infringe. Additional audio used under license by Epidemic Sound. If you need music for your podcast or YouTube channel, check out Epidemic Sound. Link in the show notes. This podcast is copyright 2025 Forgotten TV Media. The views and opinions expressed by guests and quoted sources are their own and may not reflect the opinion of Forgotten TV Media, its patrons, or any future sponsors. This podcast is intended for entertainment purposes only. Information presented is based on a combination of first-hand personal accounts, period news media, books and magazine articles, and high-quality online sources. While reasonable effort has been made to include only factual information, Forgotten TV Media cannot guarantee the accuracy of every detail included and makes no representations or warranties for the content in this podcast and cannot be held liable for errors or omissions. And it's time to thank the YouTube channels that made some of that audio possible. Fabs Jimenez, Apotheon SAK, David Gideon, Retro Television Airwaves, Music Videos and Other Random Stuff, Legend 813A, Gorn Green, TV's Greatest, Premio Decene, Gilmore Box, Daniel Alexander Hill, Sinrob 1, Street Hawk Online, Booba 1234, Gary Brolsma, Shout Studios, Classic Television Fan, Oak Park Studio, Steven, and Bad Saturday Morning. Some background information sourced from the books Encyclopedia of TV Pets, A Complete History of Television's Greatest Animal Stars by Ken Beck and Jim Clark. God Only Knows, Can You Trust Him with the Secret by Joe Camp, and the Here's Boomer website. Thank you for listening. See you over at the new website found at forgotten.tv. I am your writer, producer, and host, Chris Cooling. And here's to another 8 years of Forgotten TV.